Well, this is the second to last verses of the scary theme, and this was one that actually came out of nowhere, pretty much. This was something just came out of the blue one day. It's like you called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna do this one." I was like, "All right, that sounds good." Because obviously everyone knows how much of a Christina Ricci fan I am, and this works pretty well because there is a common bond in just looking at the DVD cases. Come on, Johnny Depp's in both of them. So the clue, the depths of hell. Yeah, that my pun was basically to tell you that that was going to be the verses for this week. So we're going to find out what happened when Sleepy Hollow faces off against From Hell. AJ, take it away.
Well, obviously, another thing that they have in common is the fact that they're both taking, well, obviously Sleepy Hollow is not a true story. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think Ichabod Crane is supposedly, like, at least based on a real person.
Yeah.
And then Frederick Auerlein from Hell obviously was a real person, despite the fact that the well, we'll get into that when we talk about From Hell, but and the directors both took these stories of them going after these famous, murderous figures like the Headless Horseman or Jack the Ripper and turned them into these really, really stylized mysteries.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with Sleepy Hollow. I remember when Sleepy Hollow came out, and our theater, I don't know if other theaters around had it, but I assume so. The giant banner that had Depp with, like, the weird glasses and the giant headline. That tagline they were so proud of, it's Laurel.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember vividly seeing that banner and thinking, wow, but that movie is absolutely frightening because I'm only 8 years old when this movie came out. I might have been 9 by this point if it came out after October, but or within. So this is Tim Burton taking on the story we all basically know, where the Headless Horseman goes around Sleepy Hollow and cuts people's heads off because it's revenge for when he lost his... He's looking for his own head to put back on, and he is seeking revenge, but it may not be so random, the list of people that he's killing. So they bring in Ichabod Crane, who is basically trying to use forensics to solve murder cases. Because the movie starts and he drags somebody out of a... Hold on a second. These movies are so close, I have to make sure I'm thinking of the right movie first. Yes, I'm almost positive this is the scene in Sleepy Hollow. They drag the guy out of the river, and Depp is under the impression that he has been killed in another way and not just drowning, but they say, well, if he was found in the river, he drowned, go away. So he confronts a judge played by Christopher Lee, because it's a Tim Burton movie, and says, I think you really need to further investigate into this, and I can do that. I've got the science and all that. I've got the awesome duels and shit. And Christopher Lee says, well, then you go to Sleepy Hollow and do that, because people are getting their heads cut off. So the opening scene is an uncredited cameo from Martin Landau being chased by the Headless Horseman.
Nice.
It's got, like, the scarecrow with the pumpkin head in the field, too. All that Tim Burton imagery you'd expect. So he goes and he does just that, and he meets a whole bunch of recognizable faces. He meets the married couple that is Michael Gambon and Miranda Richardson, who are basically kind of housing him. There is we have Richard Griffiths, who you probably know as Mr. Dursley in the Harry Potter movies. There's the guy that played Alfred in the first 2 Batman movies.
Michael Go?
Yes, that's it. And Emperor Palpatine from the Star Wars movies. His name escapes me as well.
I don't have anything handy I can tell you.
Yes. Now that I've said that, Jeffrey Jones has a big part. But now that I've talked about all of the people that are in this, there is kind of a weak link in the cast list, and that, of course, is... Oh shit, I didn't even mention Christina Ricci, sorry. The weak link in this movie is Casper Van Dien, of course.
Of course it is.
who is the guy that's basically very aggressive towards Ichabod Crane, and, you know, is the guy that's like, hey, you're new here, I'm gonna shove you and bully you, because that's what I do.
That's what he did in Super Troopers. Super Troopers, Starship Troopers. That's what I was trying to say.
So it's very pleasing in this movie to see him get sliced in the middle and fall apart, so...
Yep.
But that comes later. Now, the thing about it is, it stars Johnny Depp doing his thing. But this is like 1999.
Yeah, this was before he was doing his thing, though.
Yeah, this is the really nervous, awkward Depp thing before it became the shtick. And it was great. He's really good in this. And brings that comedy to it. Like, nowadays it would be so eye-roll inducing, but one of the great moments of this movie is after we're skipping ahead here a little bit.
Yeah.
The climax. It's also worth noting, I should mention this real quick since we're talking about mysteries. It's kind of a well-known fact now that this segment is completely spoilery, but
yeah.
I'll throw that out there again just for insurance. Once the climax has happened and you have, you know, the big, awesome chase carriage fight with the Headless Horseman, and then you have, you know, Miranda Richardson doing her thing, and then finally the Headless Horseman gets his head back, and he puts the skull on, and the skin grows over it, and he's walking again. And then walking. And he takes Miranda Richardson, and then puts her on the horse, and then dives into the tree, and then the blood, and then it's like he's basically dragging her down the hill. And all of this happens at once, and the scene ends with Ichabod Crane just fainting. After everything. And back then it worked really well.
Yeah.
And he has a couple of lines I love, like, when he's, he brings in, like, one of the headless bodies, and the coroner's like, this is most irregular, and his response is, I should hope so. There's the moment where he's bringing up all these discoveries, like he sees the star on his floor, and he's saying, you know, oh, I think I've figured out the conspiracy. And then suddenly he looks on the ground, and he's frightened. And then he grabs a chair and stands on it and says, you know, oh my god, and it's a spider. And it's like, whatever that is, kill it now. So, yeah, so that was back when it was really fun for Depp to do that, and he hadn't completely run it into the ground. So that's nice to see. Yeah. And when you watch it, it still holds up to it. It's not like, oh, that's his thing now, fuck this. His performance still holds up well when you watch it now. You know, Christina Ricci is good, I guess. The thing that's most striking about this is, I don't know about everybody else. I mean, I know her eyes are a dead giveaway and everything, and her voice. But honestly, I find her almost completely unrecognizable in this. Like, sometimes, I often have to remind myself she's even in it. Like, when I was first introduced to Edward Scissorhands a billion years ago, I just had automatically assumed that Christina Ricci in this movie was Winona Ryder. So, which would have worked too, but I think that was after their breakup, so.
And now she'd be Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. No, she would have been Miranda Richardson's character for sure.
Ah, okay.
And honestly, Miranda Richardson is campy fun, we'll say, in this. Yeah, normally I don't defend Burton casting her, but Helena Bonham Carter would have rocked that role, I think.
Probably so.
Now, the thing is a big problem people often have with Sleepy Hollow is the genre.
Mm.
Because it certainly looks creepy. Obviously, it's a Tim Burton movie. A Tim Burton movie has never been nominated for the Art Direction Oscar or Production Design, and not won. And this is no exception. And yes, I read somewhere where the cast all said, like, walking through the Sleepy Hollow set was like walking through Tim Burton's head. Because it was just had that really eerie feel. There's never a sun in this movie. It is just like constant fog in either gray or black skies. Yeah. And it's just this constant, you know, eerie doom surrounding everything. But apart from that atmosphere, the movie is not a scary movie. Oddly enough, it's weird when you discover this while watching the movie, but it's an action movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bizarre. Because, I mean, it does feel like a huge missed opportunity, because this is definitely a story you could make into, like, some really thrilling horror and some really creepy, scary stuff.
Yeah.
And every now and then there's a scene like that. Like, the scene where he goes into, like, and kills the family, the two adults and the kid. And they have that thing where, like, the animals are, like, projecting the light on... It's like the light is projecting on the wall in animal shapes and it's spinning around the room. And he's walking into that and killing them and all that. That's a really, you know, wild and crazy scene. But there's just, you know... And then, yeah, of course, you know, the woman with the veil that tells them the information. And that I think ends up being Miranda Richardson's sister, I think, where she opens her veil and it's, like, this gray, decomposed face with, like, black holes where the eyes are, and, like, her eyes shoot out of the sockets and a snake flies out of her mouth or something, and yeah, that was pretty weird and freaky, but yeah. But yeah, the movie is not that scary at all. It's like, you could almost put the genre as action. So, that was certainly an unpredictable and interesting direction to take it.
Yeah.
And it does work. It really does. Like I said, that chase scene at the end is fucking awesome.
Agreed.
But yeah, it does seem like a missed opportunity that they could have done a lot more horror with it than they could. And the the twist. It's fine once the twist is revealed and then it goes in that direction. But I kind of thought there was, like, that middle area there where the movie gets a little clumsy and everything kind of seems to be sloppily coming together. And there's that moment where, if you've ever, like I said, I don't know if it's supposed to be this obvious or not. I think it's supposed to be like a full-on twist and everything, but the movie is graphic. Like, every decapitation we fucking see, they do not take anything away from us. We see Michael Gambon get that really vicious one. They had fun with Richard Griffiths getting it, where he cut him and then the head spun around on his neck before it fell off. We see Walken when he's, like, in battle, just cutting off heads left and right. Walken's own head getting cut off. Like I said, he kills a fucking kid in this movie and takes his head. It's relentless. It just has always bothered me how painfully obvious it is when we see Michael Gambon and Miranda Richardson here, and the Headless Horseman is coming, and he's got the sword out, and we cut. And then we see Gambon running towards the church just saying, "Oh my god, he killed her!" And we never saw it, and it was... Well, yeah, there's clearly something missing there. That's just one moment that's really bothered me, and really tainted the twist, because it's so fucking obvious by that point. But no, like I said, once the twist is revealed, it still works when it goes into that. But yeah, overall, it is really fun. Like I said, it maybe would have worked better as a horror movie, but it still works as is, and it's got that great, you know, atmosphere, and that Oscar-winning art direction, you know. It's certainly etched that into your brain, so that's the most you could want from a Tim Burton movie about fucking Sleepy Hollow, so...
Yeah.
Our second movie is From Hell, which is the Hughes brothers, who I really, really love, and they are so underrated. Mm-hmm. Like, I say the Hughes brothers, and people are like, I say, you know, Menace to Society, and Dead Presidents, and, you know, there's one more that's escaping me right now, shit. But then they say, oh yeah, that, you know, that's, together, because one of them made, Broken City by himself. Well, forget that happened.
Yes.
But together, they're fucking awesome and great. And now, the problem is, well, no, let me talk about the great stuff. Because there's a lot of it. It's another one of those obvious twist things. So, yeah. Another thing both movies have in common, go figure. We start off meeting, Aroline, who is, Depp, who basically hangs out in an opium den and gets high. Which basically kind of gives him... There's a lot of stuff in this movie you just have to go with. You just do it. When he gets high on opium, he's able to have, like, psychic visions of Jack the Ripper's murders. And that's why he's the one called in to investigate them. He and his partner, Robbie Coltrane. Robbie Coltrane's basically playing his, like, Watson, more or less.
Sounds like John Cusack in The Raven.
Yeah, From Hell is a lot... The Raven is a lot like From Hell, it really is.
That sounds very familiar, yeah.
I think they're both graphic novels, too. This one definitely is. I think The Raven might be, too. And like I said, we had Mr. Dursley in the last one. Let's have Hagrid now. So, and we kind of have these paths that cross, because we actually start with the prostitute played by Heather Graham, who is basically kind of has this sisterhood with the rest of them. They're not just, like dirty whores like they're portrayed to be. They're actually just, this is what they have to do to get by, and one of them even has a kid that Heather Graham has to take care of, and the pimps are starting to ask for more money, and they're getting really violent and threatening about it. And all of this is going on while Jack the Ripper is often prostitutes and cutting out their lady parts, among other things, and just completely and totally mutilating them. And just this whole crime spree, being driven around by his creepy driver that's Jason Fleming.
Nice.
And what really, really works about this movie, this is what I was actually talking about earlier. I was getting ready to say what doesn't work, but I meant what does work. This movie's visuals are kind of a work of art. Like, well, first off, it's really interesting to note that the Hughes brothers made movies like Menace to Society and Dead Presidents and stuff like that. The Dead Presidents is really impressive because they crammed 3 totally different genres into one movie under 2 hours. Dead Presidents is a hood movie, it's a Vietnam War movie, and it's a heist movie. All in one. And then, of course, Menace to Society is like, I'd almost venture to say Menace to Society surpasses Boys in the Hood. That might be, yes. We might to go
that sounds familiar.
But they went in a totally different direction here.
Mm.
This is like Victorian London at this particular time.
Yeah.
This is so not in their wheelhouse. They're like urban neighborhoods and drive-bys and shit. This is like a whole other thing, and it's just, you would think this is the kind of movies they were always making, because this movie's appearance is just perfect. When we get those overhead shots of London that just have that gloom, it's like a red fog is almost it's like just gleaming over it. And then you have these visuals. So, like, I know that's kind of a cop-out when you're trying to say, the rest of the movie, but the visuals, my god. Yeah. But no, if you see the visuals in this movie, they are holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, there is one of the first kills we see is this awesome shot. I don't know how they accomplished these shots. I want to just interview them about this movie alone, as great of a filmography as they have made so far. There's this one kill where he's in the shadows in an alley, and the woman's walking by, and then she's pulled into the darkness, and the whole screen goes black. And we hear him pull out the blade, and the only thing we can see is light reflecting off his blade, going back and forth, and just going... Like, when it's inside her, because you hear the crunch, and then it's blackness for a second before he pulls it back out. And then the glinting is suddenly turning redder and redder as we just see the blade stabbing by itself. How does one accomplish a shot like that? That's awesome. And then there's the great shot where just all the scenes involving Jack the Ripper in this movie are so insanely well shot. In just the absolute perfect way you'd expect this story to be told. The shot where he actually has the girl in the carriage eating the grapes, and we see him behind her, and it's just, there's the window behind him, and all you can see is red. And over the red is just the silhouette of his head, just talking to her from the blackness. That is just the absolute best way, visually, this story could have been told. Visually, I don't think that is going to be taught if people continue, which I'm sure they will, to make movies about Jack the Ripper. Mm. But the thing about From Hell is the fact that From Hell is to Jack the Ripper basically what Inglourious Basterds is to World War II. Because if historians go to this movie, they're going to leave really pissed off. Mm-hmm. I actually did a little bit of research to make sure I was telling this right. If I get some things wrong, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the gist of it. It is to my understanding that obviously Ian Holmes' character is revealed to be Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And they go with that. It is to my understanding that, well, first off, let's talk about this ending. This ending's fucking wicked. Because, the thing about it is, it seems like it's setting itself up for a big Hollywood ending. Because we have this big reveal that shows us that it's been Ian Holm this whole time. And then we have Depp figuring all that out. And we're like, okay, things are going to be fine. He's going to save Heather Graham. He's going to, put Jack the Ripper away. Everything's going to be grand. But the ending is, he whips. Ian Holm says his line, you know, that Jack the Ripper famously said about how people are going to consider me the birth of the 20th century. And then Aberline whips out a gun and says, "You're not going to see the 20th century." But then right before he can kill him, he gets knocked out. And while Aberline is unconscious, Jack the Ripper escapes, goes, completely mutilates Heather Graham, takes out her heart and puts it in a tea kettle and puts it over a fire. And while, yeah, Jack the Ripper does get caught, they catch Ian Holm, and then he gets lobotomized and locked away. Adeline lays in the opium den and overdoses and dies. And the movie just ends there. For starters, it is under my impression that the guy Ian Holm plays was, like, linked to it, but nothing really became of it.
They never exactly found out who Jack the Ripper was, from my
supposedly, like, just recently they think they figured it out, but still, no, but there's always going to be those people that think it's going to go on forever.
Probably.
And apparently the guy that, well, I guess he's like this, you know, fictional figure, really, that people love to use, because I'm pretty sure the character Depp plays in this is also supposed to be Hugo Weaving in The Wolfman.
I think you're right, actually.
The Joe Johnson remake. But, like, in real life, apparently Adeline lived to be, like, 86 and just died. Like, it wasn't like an overdose in an opium den. It wasn't, you know, turned into a werewolf by Benicio del Toro or anything like that. So, that guy's had such an exciting life, and he lived to 86, so it's interesting to see how he plays out in fiction.
True.
Now, the thing about it is, well, yeah, it does seem like there's kind of an obvious reveal there where, we see, there's this great scene, again, all the Jack the Ripper scenes in this movie are so amazing, oh my god, where we just see him, like, eating at his table. He's eating, like, practically raw meat, basically. And on the walls are, like, people with, like, really, like, Elephant Man kind of disfigurements. Just pictures of that all around the walls. And the introduction, after that scene has already happened, the introduction of Ian Holm's character is them displaying John Merrick. And Ian Holm is there, and he's, like, mesmerized by it. And I was like, well, there's your clue. Yeah, I guess we're supposed to forget about that or something. So I don't remember picking up on it the first time I saw it, so fine. But when you've seen it before, that one clue really stands out. The thing about From Hell, though, is even though it delivers on that gore, this movie gets really, really gruesome when it gets into it, with fucking the throat slashing that takes like half of her head off, and Ian Holm pulling out the intestine like they're a magician with doing the rope, the endless rope thing.
The colored scarves.
Yeah. And you have, like, you know, the scenes are, sometimes they hide it, like the moment where we reveal the first body, and it's so horrible, the coroner that has seen everything starts projectile vomiting. But the thing about it is a lot of the movie is focused on the investigation and his relationship with Heather Graham's character. Like, it's almost like the whole Jack the Ripper thing kind of takes a sideline to the investigation itself. But it all works, and it makes for a really effective movie, and when those moments hit, they really do. Like I said, there's just, the visuals in this movie are unmatched, especially in, like, the horror genre. So, yes. So it's really hard to choose between the two, because they're both that stylized mystery kind of thing, but while From Hell is more of like a procedural and, you know, mystery and unfolding things and characters and stuff like that, Sleepy Hollow is like a full-on action movie, so it's hard to, it's really just one of those, it depends on what mood you're going for to be entertained by. I would probably pick From Hell, but it's really, really close. It's like obscenely close. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of those just any day of the week this could change, but today I would say From Hell. So, yeah, I think From Hell is a bit more memorable too.
Yeah,
so
I can see that for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So on today, From Hell is your victor. And next week, we end our horror-themed verses with playing a little game. So yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about there, then obviously you're not a very big horror fan. So,
well, if you're a huge horror fan, you could probably think of a number of things.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta think, Not as deep.
Gotta think a little mainstream for this one. I will say right now that we do not know what's going on for November. There's 5 verses in November. We just found out a few minutes ago.
One of them is planned.
One of them is planned, and it will coincide with the release of another movie, but we do not know what the other 4 are. So, if you have any ideas for verses, by all means, shoot me an email, sirowendisney@gmail.com, tweet me at sirowendisney, or you can send me a Facebook message. It's Owen Disney there. And if you want to get a hold of AJ, you can do so via me, because he doesn't have social media. So, hopefully you enjoyed the new movie reviews for Friday. Hopefully you enjoy Ashley's segment for Saturday. I may or may not have done a Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood video this weekend. Haven't quite decided yet, since we're shooting this legitimately on Friday, so sorry, we'll figure it out later. But wrestling content coming this week, and the debut of Sip and Snack is coming this week as well, so that's going to be fun. And vlog of randomness on Wednesday, so that's what we've got. And since it is Sunday's video, later today, we're going to be watching Mulholland Drive theatrically. So that's going to be quite a trip, in more ways than one. So, AJ...
I can't wait to see your reaction to the guy behind Winkies.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. Any parting words, AJ?
That's it.